really the bulk of it is these reviews. So finally got to get an idea on some views on what people are thinking. So we got Push Square has it at an 80. This is Marvel's Iron Man VR delivers on the mission to make you feel like the armored Avenger. Some technical hiccups aside, this is a well-rounded virtual reality title that takes advantage of the tech to immerse you in Tony Stark's world. So that's kind of the top tier on the reviews here. We got IGN giving it a 70. Marvel's Iron Man VR is not the next Marvel's Spider-Man, and it's not a system seller or system selling killer app for the PSVR. But despite falling short of those admittedly high bars, it's still a fun time. While Tony Stark's story may not have grabbed my interest at all, flying around as his alter ego was a thrill. And its intuitive aerial combat, staying engaging even as the mission and enemy variety thinned. And then Destructoid kind of brings it down a bit. We have a 70 here. I hope that Camouflage gets their hands on Iron Man again, if only to see how they can top themselves and mend their mistakes. Kotaku also gives a not a scored review. Iron Man VR would have been better off being smaller, focusing the game on telling a story and using the suit in interesting and fresh ways. Instead, it focuses on being a big combat simulator that's too clumsy to enjoy. Yeah, Callum, what did you kind of expect? I feel like this is in line with what I thought. I wasn't expecting them to blow everyone's hair back. If they needed to at least kind of supply something that was a solid experience overall.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I don't think I've really even seen any gameplay or anything on it. It just hasn't been on my radar at all. In fact, I'm seeing some now. I've just pulled up like the Metacritic, and I'm just seeing like the trailer it plays by default. And yeah, I mean, I know there's been a lot of like care gone into it, and it's had a lot of hype and everything. And I think the reviews sound promising. I think it's cool. It's a really great idea to bring to VR, definitely. And I think who was it? Destructoid sort of said it well. You know, if only they can sort of take it and improve on it,
right?
Then that's always the thing that you've got to look at. I mean, if there's something there, then you've got to look for the future as well and see, you know, what can they do after learning from their mistakes as well. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a good score for a VR game as well. I think they'll be pleased. I mean, it's sitting at 76 on Metacritic, which is a really respectable score. So yeah, I think they'll be really pleased with that. Yeah, it's a good looking sort of game.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing will be to see what they are doing in the future with this, because you're right, it's a lot to kind of build this engine and to come out swinging and to have such high accolades right out the gate. Like, it's more of, you need to see them, and hopefully Sony can give them time to work on this and fully fledge it out for a sequel. I know they already had to delay this game, so I wonder, was it a matter of if they needed more time, they could have kind of worked on some of the issues, or, you know, they just had to put out what they had. But it's interesting. I wonder if this is something that will, a sequel, if we do see a sequel, if it will be pushed onto, which you have to imagine we'll see some kind of PSVR 2 in the next, 2-3 years. I wonder if that's the next time we see whatever they're working on.
Yeah, I think, I mean, with something when you're like flying around, I think the PlayStation VR's sort of limitations will be quite clear to see.
Right.
So I think, to have something like this on, a more powerful headset would be, it'd really improve it probably. And I mean, judging from the reviews, it seems like, saying it's sort of a little bit, buggy or clumsy or whatever. That's what you're going to expect of sort of VR titles that aren't Half-Life Alyx. Right. So I think it's about as best as they would probably expect. It's definitely better than I expected. I was expecting sort of a more mediocre, like mid-60s maybe on Metacritic. But yeah, they should be really pleased with that. I think the main issue with me personally is I'm just so fatigued on Marvel as a whole, especially I love Spider-Man, so that's a bit different, but it's like the Marvel Avengers game. Like, I just can't bring myself to care about that.
Yeah, that one's tough for me as well. Yeah,
I'm just so completely exhausted from Marvel and superheroes, because it's like there hasn't been. I don't think there's been a film in a while, but there was a point where it's just like there was a film coming out every 3 months or whatever, and it's just. I just can't.
You know what I was thinking, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this yet, but with the PSVR 2, or kind of imagining what that would be, even before that becomes into play, we have PS5 coming out soon. You have your older PSVR units. when you plug those into the PS5, do you get any extra performance? Is all of the processing done in the PSVR, or is it using the PlayStation 4 to help it render stuff? And so if you were to then plug it into the PS5, is there any kind of graphical improvement or performance improvement?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't even think about that. That's yeah. I mean, I imagine that they would have had to have built the unit with that in mind. So like they'd have had to have sort of future-proofed it themselves. But yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that. I think the main thing is getting rid of the just sheer amount of cables involved. I mean, I imagine there'll be cables of the second unit if there is one. But I mean, the way they're like stapled into the headset like around and like it's just too much of a faff. So yeah, but yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's definitely something that they might be able to do, even if it's like a little bit better, you know, better texture loading from distance or better resolutions, whatever. Yeah, that could definitely be something on the cards.
Yeah, because the PlayStation 4 is doing something, right? It's not like you can, otherwise you would just plug it into your TV and you're fine. So it's doing something. I don't know how much of the workload it's handling, and if the system can just scale when you plug it into a PS5, there's going to be dramatically more improved hardware. Although I guess if that idea works, then you'd see an improvement from the base PS4 to the PS4 Pro, and I don't think I've seen anyone talk or heard anyone talk about that upgrade either. So maybe it doesn't, and it just like limits whatever you plug it into.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an interesting point though, because I mean, you've got like your Oculus Rift, your HTC Vive, which have been out for years now, and they're completely dependent on what your PC is.
Right.
I think they're starting to show like their limitations when you've got like the Valve Index now, which is like obviously built. It was basically like a next gen VR headset, 'cause it came out so long after the others, but it's priced accordingly as well. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely could be something. I mean, it might be that the PS4 Pro, you know, it might have been too expensive to buff up to the point where they could improve the VR capabilities, or maybe they just didn't want to do it with that. So yeah, I didn't think about that at all. It's definitely a good point, and something that could definitely be on the horizon.
Yeah, we'll see what they announce with that, but there must not be anything there because no one's really talking about it. So
no, yeah,
we will see.